Going out the CIEE, which involved human rights here in Buenos Aires. And of course, about a week ago, we also had a very powerful and very important set of presentations about human rights abuses in Chile under the Pinochet regime. And today we learned about what happened here in Argentina almost at the same time, a little bit later. It all seems to start about 1976, and it goes on from 1976 to about the early 1980s. And anyway, there are kind of two parts of this that I want to share kind of quickly. One is that we did meet one of the mothers, Madres de Plaza de Mayo, the mothers that walk around the circle, the main circle plaza in downtown Buenos Aires, which is a very political place, place of public protests, and it's in front of the presidential palace, and it's just kind of the center of Buenos Aires in many ways. And the mothers still walk there and remember their missing children. They still walk there, particularly on Thursday afternoons, and I would like very much in a couple of days, since it's June 9th on a Monday, I'll be staying here in Buenos Aires through Sunday morning. I'd like very much to go down there and watch that demonstration personally. But the mothers of the Plaza de Mayo are a very organized group, and they want what they say is truth, justice, and memory about their missing children. And the history about how they were organized is something that's rather fascinating, and how a group of mothers has kind of created an international stir. But I'm not going to go into that really so much. I mean, it is a story that's worth telling, but I'm not going to tell it right now. Just the kind of interesting thing was that this mother who lost her second son on June 17, 1975, and he was a student, and he was kidnapped in the middle of the night, and you don't know if it's the police, just plainclothesmen came to their home, took him away, and that's the last they ever saw of him. And of course he has today to be presumed dead. He's been missing for over 30 years. And I want to say here, as a kind of a parenthetical note, that I have been rather moved by all the material and information that we've received about the human rights abuses in Chile and in Argentina. Because a number of the people, not all, but a number of the people that were abducted, tortured, killed, were university students, were young people who were very passionate about certain causes. And I can't help but recall that at this time I was 22, 23 years old. And so this is the sort of thing that could have happened certainly to me or people my age, friends of mine, because I certainly knew people who were very passionate about certain causes. So the young man was taken away. Of course, his mother has no answers about what happened to her son since he disappeared over 30 years ago. So she's very involved in this movement of the Madres Plaza de Mayo right now. And so she's very involved in this and some of the other activities that they go through. I'm not going to get into right now. But anyway, it was interesting that one of the things she said was that this is something that every mother has a right to know. Every parent has a right to know what happens to their child. It's not something. As a matter of fact, she objects to the word "disappeared" because it's just it doesn't really describe what happened to her son. She knows her son was abducted. She knows her son was tortured, and she knows her son was ultimately killed in probably a very gruesome way. So the word "disappeared," these are my words now, but just appear to be a little too sanitary or clean. Just, disappeared. Sort of like erasing a chalkboard or something like that. No, that's not what happened to her son. She knows that. So the right of a mother to know what happened is very important. She impressed that upon us. And she wants to tell her story to as many people as possible. Here we were, a room full of 12, 13 university professors from the United States, and she very much wanted to tell her story to us. And as many people as she gets to tell her story to, not just her but other women in her movement, it becomes this cause continues to grow. And I could tell that she was quite passionate about her cause, of course, and also, but appreciative of the fact that we were there when we were listening to her, and we were asking her questions. We wanted to know what happened to her son, and what happened, how her organization works. And at the end of it, and there are some pictures we took of the group with this woman, this madre, and with her scarf on, and I hope to be able to post this picture. And I just gotta say, it's a very simple thing, but at the end of it, as we're walking through, her face is beaming, and she's so thrilled that we've come to listen to her. And I walked out of the room, and I mean, I just want to say gracias to her, and I mean, she pulls me in, she gives me this big hug, and I'm rather stunned, but it really struck me as a very genuine, sincere gesture. There's one other story, and then I got to get back down to the lobby. And the other story is that we went to lunch immediately after this, and we're at a very small local place, and our host is telling us what kind of was going on, more history about the politics and the government and everything else at this time. And after a little while, a man stops at the table, and he goes up to our host. His name's Gabriel. Goes up to Gabriel, and he introduces himself. This is all going on in Spanish. But I could tell there was this moment of connection between this man. I didn't think he was a friend of Gabriel's, but you could almost sense it. But after they have their little exchange for 2 or 3 minutes, Gabriel sits back down and tells us that this man was the son of a disappeared man. His father, he lost his father probably when he was a very small young man, or boy, I suppose. The man who came up to us in the restaurant was the late 30s, mid 30s, something like that, and so he would have been probably anywhere from 3 to 10 years old, I would guess. And he lost his father this way. And here he is at lunch, and he overhears a conversation, and he knows that what's going on is that there's an Argentine who's telling a large table of Americans about this period in Argentine history. And he told our host, he told Gabriel, that this was a kind of a positive moment for him because, and this is my words, but it's just tourists are coming to Buenos Aires and learning about something else other than the tango, and doing something else other than eating steaks. That this is a period of history that's not being forgotten, and that Gabriel and others are making sure that we know about it. And this was a tribute to his father, and I thought that was kind of important. All right, so I've spoken a great deal here, and it's time to get back to the lobby, and I've enjoyed sharing this, and I've enjoyed the trip a great deal. So for right now, buenas noches.